We're talking Georgia Bulldogs today on Sharpen the Point. 2024, it was 11-3 season with an SEC title, but they lost to Notre Dame in that first playoff game, and it's kind of funny though that it's considered a down season when you win the SEC. Kirby Smart enters his 10th season. He's still got Mike Bobo at his side. I think most people would agree they'd like Mike Bobo to leave or take another job somewhere. Quarterback-wise, Carson Beck, he was considered the favorite to be the top pick in the draft heading into last season, but he did not perform up to expectations even prior to his injury in the SEC championship game. Part of that could have been a drop-off in talent at the skill positions with Bowers and McConkey gone, but I would have thought that he could elevate this team and that unit to be better than they were. The counting stats were there, but it just never quite looked right. He heads to Miami now, and it's likely best for both parties for him to depart. Gunnar Stockton took over in that game against Texas and did enough to get the win, but he was clearly a player that needs a very good supporting cast around him to produce numbers. Stockton now heads into this season as the starting quarterback with plenty of playmakers surrounding him and an arm big enough to make use of those guys. His close relationship with Mike Bobo is going to help them to be on the same page, and the pressure is now squarely on him to deliver under these bright lights. Ryan Puglisi, he's going to enter the season as the backup to Stockton, but he's going to continue to push for that starting gig. He's highly hyped and probably has more talent than Stockton overall. He's just green. Running back-wise, Trevor Etienne, he was brought in to be the bell cow back and bridge for this young room. He was serviceable when he was on the field, even though he never surpassed 100 yards in a game. But he was banged up for most of the season, which really presented opportunities for the young guys to emerge. That and poor line play led to the Dogs finishing 15th in the SEC in rush yards per game, which is absolutely atrocious by their standards. True freshman Nate Frazier, he kicked down the door immediately in the opener against Clemson with 107 total yards and a touchdown, but he ceded work to Etienne throughout the early portion of the season. In the back half of the year, though, Frazier strung together some solid performances, showing he was a capable lead back. The staff was pleasantly surprised with how he played, but he needs to hold on to the football. Fumbling problems plague the youngster, and if he's going to remain a focal point in this offense, he needs to clean that up. Josh McCray, he comes over from Illinois, and he's an underappreciated pickup in my opinion, as he gives them a much-needed physical presence in this backfield, something they lacked last year and will be heavily used in short yardage situations. McCray had double-digit touchdowns last year, and I expect him to be in that territory again. The staff's really excited about his addition and the role that he can play within this offense. Cash Jones, he's going to continue to operate in a pass-catching role. That's kind of all he can do. Now, how teams have not figured out that he's going to beat you on that wheel route is beyond me, but it continues to work, so they might as well keep going back to it. He did it again in the playoffs, and it was absolutely absurd that nobody's figured that out yet. Pass catcher-wise, there's expected to be a drop-off from Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, but I don't think anyone could have predicted how poor the weapons would play in comparison to that group. Arian Smith and Dominic Lovett led the room as they lacked a true go-to weapon, but they're now gone, and they've upgraded significantly over the group that led the country in drops last year. The additions of Noah Thomas from Texas A&M and Zachariah Branch from USC are clear upgrades on what they had. Thomas was A&M's leading receiver last year, and he brings a size element that they lacked last season as a 6'5" target. He may not be a focal point in the offense right away, but he's going to factor heavily into that rotation. Branch is a huge upgrade over Arian Smith. He has a similar athletic profile, but is a much better route runner and actually has a set of hands capable of catching the football. Branch has the best chance to blow up out of the pass catchers, as he had a fantastic spring, showing a great connection with Stockton, and the coaching staff had nothing but good things to say about him. Returners Dylan Bell and Colby Young, they're going to play key roles as well. Bell is the top returning receiver from a year ago with over 466 yards and 4 touchdowns. He needs to prove this season that he can be an offensive weapon if he wants people at the next level to give him a long look. Expect Bell to receive schemed-up touches and operate out of the backfield some to showcase his versatility. Young was limited to just 5 games last year as legal issues sidetracked his season. He would have been a key figure for them as they needed a tall outside weapon to complement those smaller gadget players. Young cemented himself as a starter with a great showing throughout the spring. Combining Young and Thomas gives them a nice Twin Towers look on the outside that they sorely lacked. At tight end, Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky, they're going to again split the work evenly between them. Lucky is definitely the better pass catcher of the two, but both are a far cry from Brock Bowers. Offensive line-wise, the line has plenty of questions that need to be answered as 3 were drafted and another signed an UDFA deal. Even with the raw talent leaving, there was room for improvement as it didn't perform up to individual talent levels on the field. The only returning starter from last season, Ernest Green, he's going to move from left tackle to right tackle to accommodate Monroe Freeling. Green has handled the transition well and looks ready to go. Freeling missed spring practices after shoulder surgery, but he's going to be trusted with protecting the blind side come this fall. Micah Morris and Daniel Calhoun, they're going to man those guard spots. Morris is a veteran who can be counted upon to put his experience to use. And Calhoun was banged up late in spring with a foot issue, but the staff's really excited about his upside. Drew Bobo, he secured that starting spot at center with an excellent spring. And there's a lot of talent in this room. It's just unproven at the moment. Defensive line-wise, massive turnover along the line as 3 of the top 4 depart with only defense tackle Kristen Miller returning. They're going to need to have guys step up and seize the opportunity presented to them. Miller's shown flashes throughout his career, and if he can put it all together, he could be a difference maker to take this unit back to an elite level. He did miss the spring due to an off-season surgery, though, but he should be back. Elijah Griffin, he's a 5-star true freshman. He's going to rotate in and be a factor here. And he's just starting his career, but is a super promising prospect. And it will be a matter of when, not if, he makes an impact this season. Jordan Hall, he should get a chance to start at that other defensive tackle spot. He's battled injuries during his time here, but he looked healthy and impressive during the spring. Having Hall back fully healthy will be incredibly important as he could be one of the big surprises on the defense this year. Gabe Harris and Joseph Jonah Ajane, they're going to be the top options at defensive end. Harris missed the spring after a labrum tear, but all signs point to him being ready to go. Jonah Ajane, he performed well in the spring coming off of foot surgery in October. Both are going to be key pieces off the edge here. Linebacker-wise, 3 of the top 4 are gone from what was a fantastic unit last year. You know, the one returning piece is a big one, though, in C.J. Allen, who was the second leading tackler a year ago. He's going to be joined on the inside by Raylan Wilson. He's made big strides in his game. And then the depth at inside linebacker is absolutely an insane luxury that maybe no other team has. Chris Cole, he has a real chance to make a name for himself as he's likely to fill the menacing role that Jalon Walker held in those pass game situations. And then Justin Williams, he put on a heck of a show in the spring and is poised for a rotational role as well. Elo Medozi, he comes from Army. He was one of the bigger splashes in the portal for this team. He's going to fill one of the team's biggest needs at outside linebacker, and he should be a game wrecker if he can adjust to the speed of the game at the SEC level well. Defensive back-wise, Malachi Starks, he heads to the NFL, but otherwise, most everyone you need is back in place for another season. They did give up too many explosives last year, which they need to fix overall. At cornerback, Dalen Everett and Daniel Harris, they're going to return as the top 2 options. Everett was limited during the spring, but he is a proven starter that plays physical and should be in the running for all conference by season's end. Harris started late last season and had growing pains, but rebounded in the spring, showing that the experience gained was a benefit. He could generate a lot of buzz over the course of the season if he continues to progress. And then the top option behind them is former 5-star Ellis Robinson. He's developed, albeit slower than many expected. There's an opportunity for this to be more of a rotation, including DeMello Jones, rather than a set-it-and-forget-it type of deal here. KJ Bolden, he's going to take over the safety spot previously held by Starks. He's one of the more proven guys on the defense as a sophomore. Bolden is being pushed by the staff to continue to build upon what he has shown. He's capable of being something really special, though. Ja'Cory Thomas, he's the likeliest option to start opposite of Bolden. Thomas has waited in the wings for his chance and put together a strong spring performance to be in the pole position. This competition is not over yet, though, as Zion Branch, Zachariah's brother, he comes from USC with him, impressed during the spring with multiple interceptions. He's a big safety at 6'2", 210, and will be able to step right in if called upon. Jonel Aguero, he worked some at safety in the spring, but should remain the top guy at the star position. He's going to be a key defender on this team if they want to contend for a national title again. Looking at the schedule and outlook for this season, on offense, there's not going to be much of a drop-off from Beck to Stockton, and he's set up to succeed with much better weapons to work with. The running back room is very good, especially if they can trust Frazier to hold on to the ball, and the line could be improved if they can gel as a group. The defense still has plenty of talent and should be even better than it was a year ago. They just need the talent on the defense to play to its ability to return to those top 10 units they have had in the past. Marshall, win. Austin P, win. At Tennessee, I think there's a good bit of turnover there. I expect a win. Alabama, coin flip. You never know with the Tide. Kentucky, win. At Auburn, I'm going to lean win. I'm not quite sure what Auburn's going to be yet. I'm interested to see it, though. Ole Miss, I'll lean win as well. Not quite sure how Austin Simmons will adapt. He played well in limited snaps, though. Florida, I'll lean win. I'm not the biggest Lagway guy, but Lagway could have won that game last year if he had stayed healthy. At Mississippi State, win. Texas, I'm going to lean loss. That's probably the toughest game on the schedule. The Arch Manning era is here. Charlotte, win. And then Georgia Tech, they ran. That was one heck of a game. Probably the game of the year last year with that 8 overtime game. I'm going to lean win there, but Georgia Tech is still very good and very dangerous. You know, it's not an easy schedule, and they're going to be battle-tested by the end of the season. 10 wins should be the likeliest outcome, which would get them back in the playoff, even if they do not reach the SEC title game with that. It would not be a surprise if they are improved on both sides of the ball, though, and make another run at a national championship and SEC title.